Right.
You know?
Piggybacking off that, though, I'm not trying to bury the guy or anything, but Kevin Sumlin, how do you? It almost feels like you have to screw that up because A&M was so hot, and I know Johnny he deserves all the praise he gets, but it wasn't like he was doing it alone. Evans and all these great offensive linemen, a lot of great defensive players. Myles Garrett came soon after. How do you think? I don't know. I feel like that was a huge opportunity wasted.
It was, and by the way, Texas was down.
They had Kyle Allen and Kyler Murray right after that, too, who I think they're both in the NFL still. Kyle
has had a great career, as a sometimes starter, sometimes backup. The Kyle thing, I think, really kind of did, start, was the beginning of the end for Sumlin. It wasn't immediate after that. Trevor Knight helped put a giant Band-Aid on that. You probably remember him in that Tennessee game. That was a wild one at Kyle Field. Josh Dobbs and Trevor.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Hey, A&M.
That was one of the toughest games because it was such a wild
Alvin
ride
Kamara.
to that.
Yeah, Kamara went crazy.
Yeah, and that was targeting. I mean, I'm saying it on TV.
You're talking about the long run. Yeah. But I was sitting there going, who the hell is it? Travion Williams went nuts that day, too.
Yeah.
And then fumbled at the one. That game was over.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
He was A&M's had two backs lead the SEC in rushing, I think, two. Maybe, did Isaiah Spiller lead it or finish second? But at least two, if not three. But it was Travion, who, you go look at his single season that year. It's up there. I think he's sandwiched between like Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker.
Wow.
Single season rushing yards. Now, obviously, play an extra game.
Yeah.
But
still, to be close.
Yeah, just to even. It's like top six anyway.
They
and then,
just ran with Herschel. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Johnny.
Yeah.
Which is wild. You heard him talk about that. He was number one, like Gurley was number two. But. Where were we going with this Tennessee? Trevor Knight, the Sumlin, Kyle Allen. So, yeah, man, like, I think in one day, and it was here in Nashville, he had benched Kyler and started Kyle against Vandy in the coldest damn game I've ever sat at. And I remember waiting, and A&M was in the locker room. Vandy, it's that little bitty, like, room down there in the end zone, and I'm standing there, and I hear somebody like, hey, what's up, Luch? And I turn, and it's Kyler in uniform, not in a bad mood, just sitting out there, and he's talking to me, and we're talking, and nothing. He's not sitting there, slamming the whole deal, and we're just, what's been up? How you doing all right? And then I realized we've been talking for like 10 minutes, and the team's in the locker room. And that's when I knew. I was like, man, he's so checked out. Like, he doesn't even desire to go in the locker room.
Right.
And there's probably no consequences to that, And I think the problem was Kyle, I think they kind of said, okay, like, if this is how it's going to be, like, then we got a pretty good one here in Kyle. Kyler's got the potential to be amazing. We knew that when we recruited, but.
Because a lot of people say he was the best high school player in Texas history.
Yeah, he was. I think he was. I think it's hard to, you can argue it. There are guys like Vince Young, and obviously there's a million Adrian
just to be in that conversation.
Kyler might be number one. I think he is. Yeah. So, and his dad played in A&M, so it was touchy. But I think Kyler struggled. Kyle started to play good. They finished the year with Kyle. And obviously they would have tried to keep both. But I don't think there was a world they lived in that they thought Kyle was leaving.
Right.
And so, because he ended the season as the starter, and all of a sudden, boom, he's gone. There was no build-up. There was no portal. He's gone. And then you're like, okay, well, hate losing him, but that kind of clears up that. It's the Kyler Murray show is about to start. And you know who it was going to start against? It was going to start like 10 days later against Lamar Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
You're going to have Myles Garrett, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson on the field, Bobby Petrino at Louisville.
Yep.
But it was going to be Kyler versus Lamar in some, I think it was a Music City Bowl.
Yeah.
A lot of Nashville stuff here. And that was going to be the game. And then I don't think anyone thought that Kyler, because now that here's the job's yours. Kyle's gone. This whole thing's over with. But he was so far out the door, and I think already done deal to OU. I think that was
made plans already.
Yeah. And they'll say no, but I think that was the case. So for Sumlin, I think it just goes to show you. I think you can probably, Mike, and I'm the guy to ask when it comes to A&M, but I think you could talk to anybody that covers an SEC team, not that hasn't won the title and that hasn't had that run. Probably most programs have almost gotten there where fans on the outside and even the inside are going, you're close. We're about to be there. And if you don't finish it and close it out, it can come unraveled in a damn hurry. And you better be an elite coach. And some coaches would tell you, you better be able to just up and leave ahead of the posse sometimes too.
Yeah.
So you're in this little window where you're like, okay, do I take it and do I go for it here? Or is now the best time to just dip when, like for Sumlin, when USC comes calling? Mm-hmm. For, Jimbo did that. Even though he'd won a title, he did that and left for A&M. Do you make that move or do you stay and try to see it through? Because it's still going to be really hard to see it through. Yeah. And most coaches, as we know, don't get there. Most of them get fired. They either find a new job and leave or they get fired.
Right.
Most of them, though, don't leave these big SEC programs.